I'm Natasha Williams at NIFC. The president touring NIFC today. Check out the balloons as they inflate behind me. It is just this incredible experience to be here on the ground.
See, here's the thing about coffee with a mule. If you want to get the coffee, you have to keep up with the mule.
This here is their gas system, where essentially they pull out the gas that the trash makes when it decomposes.
In Natasha, the park is a colorful place this morning, to say the least, I can imagine.
Hey, Matt, yeah, it is, and it's a loud place too. Look behind me, the balloons are starting to inflate. According to data from the Trevor Project, at least one LGBTQ young person attempts suicide every 45 seconds. That beep you just heard means it's been 45 seconds since you started watching this video, which means at least one young person has attempted. With the pandemic, this local theater is adapting to bring the theater to your laptop screen. I'm Natasha Williams in Boise. You can't drive very far in the Treasure Valley or the Magic Valley without seeing "We're hiring" signs in local business windows. And the Department of Labor says while there are many factors to this labor shortage that we've been experiencing, one of them might be Idaho's booming economy. Keep in mind, even before 2020, Idaho was leading the nation in several things, including our low unemployment. And after its shutdown in April, our economy did slow down drastically. But when those shutdowns were lifted, it roared back to life.
It came back full strength plus some. In fact, the job openings right now are record highs.
As the economy booms, Idaho is adding jobs, and we've done it faster than any other state over the past year. But we've also lost some of our workforce during the pandemic. As we reported earlier this year, data shows the number of women in the workforce is the lowest it's been in more than 30 years, largely due to a lack of childcare, among other obstacles. But it's not just women leaving the workforce.
So really the number of that aren't participating, a large number of those are retirees. And actually, to some extent, we're seeing the younger workforce holding off joining as well because of going to school, what have you.
At the Ada County landfill, they're feeling the impacts of the crunch.
So now there's a lot of competition. The demand is far exceeding the supply. And so the wages and the costs of these blue-collar jobs are starting to go up.
Jobs at the landfill fall under county jobs, and local government jobs saw nearly 3% in job gains in July. Ada County is working to boost its minimum wage to at least $15 an hour for all positions, especially for the county's in-demand blue-collar jobs.
That's putting a strain on Ada County. It's putting a strain on everybody. So we have to be able to compete. If you want the same quality of life in Ada County as you're used to, we have to fill these positions.
Working the landfill is a tough job, but the folks on the ground there say the landfill is key to a healthy community.
We're a big, important use for the county, and we're really environmentally essential. We make sure that trash goes to the right place and is taken care of responsibly.
Experts are expecting with the job growth and the low unemployment rate, the labor shortage will likely continue for the foreseeable future, but it won't always be this extreme.
I think the intensity of worker shortage right now should diminish a little bit in 2022 and 2023, but that's not to say that everyone's going to get the workers to fill those positions.
The Idaho Department of Labor says it's important to keep in mind that the 3% of the labor force that is unemployed aren't the same people month to month. They do cycle in and out. In Boise, Natasha Williams, Fox 9 Now.
Depredation isn't a new problem.
We have more elk than we've ever had.
But it's an expensive one.
As elk herds grow and as potential damages escalate, that's a cost to producers and growers.
In 2018, Fish and Game paid more than $1 million raised from extra fees on fishing and hunting licenses for crop damage. Most went to one farmer who does not allow hunting access on his land. Managers say their efforts to reduce depredation cut that expense by 75% in 2019. One of the methods they used was Fish and Game sharpshooters, who killed 204 elk at night as part of a University of Idaho research project. Most of those elk were feeding on that one farmer's organic potatoes. Social media posts claiming the meat was wasted created an internet backlash.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
The meat was taken by refrigerated truck to a processor. When it was butchered, Fish and Game's partners at Idaho Hunters Feeding the Hungry went to work.
20,000 pounds of meat and then a 1/4 pound of protein for a meal produces 80,000 meals.
They donated the meat to 9 food pantries across the Magic Valley region. A donation the food pantries say came just in time. They're working to meet an unprecedented need for food thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic.
By having that donated and being a free resource to us, those dollars then can be spent in other areas that we don't have things donated, like beef or hamburger.
So far this year, Fish and Game says they have not used sharpshooters in the Magic Valley region. Instead, they're focusing on other non-lethal methods like hazing that uses noisemakers and other methods to scare elk away from crops.
The hazing idea is to change elk behavior. If that works and we don't have to do anything else, that's great. I mean, that would be our perfect situation.
Managers say it's starting to pay off.
At the property where we've had a lot of issues in the past near Little Camas Reservoir, our technicians have been hazing since July 15th, and the elk use in those agriculture fields has been extremely low.
And they say they would like to see more landowners allow hunting on their properties.
We were trying to take a more like proactive managed hunting approach, and landowners weren't specifically interested in allowing us to try to look into that program.
While the landowner who received more than $1 million in 2018 is not participating, a few are, and managers say it's working.
Fish and Game accompanied sportsmen and women out onto a property that has historically allowed very little public access. So we were successful there.
Fish and Game has also issued kill permits to landowners struggling with elk depredation. In Twin Falls, Natasha Williams, Idaho News 6.
The Melba City Council recently voted to impose an emergency moratorium on new subdivisions. That's similar to action taken by Caldwell City leaders earlier this year. Now, the move puts a pause on 3 proposed subdivision projects that would give a huge boost to the town's population.
Being kind of hidden has, kept people from, discovering Melba. But again, we all saw the future, that the growth was going to happen.
The city says they decided to put the moratorium in place for a few reasons. First, they say they need more time to understand how Idaho's new property tax bill will impact their budget.
We need better understanding of that, So we hate to allow all this growth and then realize that we're not going to be getting the funds to cover this growth.
Plus, a subdivision ordinance is still in the works, but officials are most concerned about making sure the city is ready for the growth these proposed projects would bring.
We've seen what's happened to some of these other towns. Some things have been good, some things have not, and we want to make sure it's done right because we only have one shot at this.
Our media partners at the Idaho Statesman report there are 3 proposed subdivision projects. The first would be 18 homes and would be located over on Randolph Avenue. The second would be 32 homes and would be located on Blue Ox Lane. A third proposal would bring 11 homes to Northwest Melba. Although this proposal was denied by Planning and Zoning, the developer is expected to submit an updated application. The proposed projects plus a 26-house subdivision that's already under construction could add more than 70 new homes to the Melba city. The city says they have room.
So we have room for 184 more homes to be built in the city limits for water abilities, to be able to meet fire compression and all that stuff.
But the additions would mean a population boom, the biggest the city has seen in decades. Melba has a population of nearly 600 people, and that means 260 residential homes. But if these new subdivisions go up, the town's population could nearly double.
Our city limits are not that big, and there's only so much space we can actually expand and annex in, because if you drive through our city limits, we're surrounded by a lot of county homes, and we don't have any control over the county homes.
Now, because Melba is in a unique situation because of its city limits, city officials say that small town feel will still be maintained even with the possible growth. And another thing to keep in mind, this moratorium is in place for up to 6 months. However, city officials are expecting it to take much less time than that. In Melba, I'm Natasha Williams, Fox 9 Now.
As you know, we've brought you stories about how our local food trucks and our pop-ups have navigated a difficult year, highlighting the changes that they've had to make during the COVID-19 pandemic and introducing you to some businesses that opened their doors or hit the road for the very first time.
That's right. Idaho News 6's Natasha Williams is live in an unusual spot this morning to wrap up our rebound week. Natasha, where are you?
Matt, I am in the foothills this morning, yes, at the Military Reserve. And this story I'm about to introduce you to, I mean, this is a coffee experience you're definitely going to want to put on your Idaho bucket list. So if you time it right as you're wandering through the foothills, you might just get a delicious cup of joe. But more than that, you'll get to experience this incredible sense of community.
So I had this concept that if I served coffee in the foothills, people would really enjoy going there as a destination. It would encourage some outdoor activity.
Meet the coffee cowboy, Matt Bishop, and his trusty steed, Richard the Mule.
Definitely get to see it go from dark to light because we usually start hiking a little bit before dawn.
Matt's a veteran, and while serving in the Middle East and Latin America, he noticed something special.
In both places, there were beverages that people would congregate around and really just kind of relax and enjoy their time.
After he came home, Matt started wandering the foothills with Richard in the hopes of sharing some of that togetherness with Idaho.
They would get there, hopefully, and get some free coffee and just gather around and enjoy one another.
See, here's the thing about coffee with a mule. If you want to get the coffee, you have to keep up with the mule.
And to watch the coffee get made, you'll have to rise well before the sun. This is Trent. He's been roasting coffee since he was just 15 years old.
Got a lot of chemistry to it, a lot of science behind it, but it does have a lot of room for creativity, so I like it for that.
Though the coffee Matt and Richard give out in the foothills are free, they also sell coffee in a brick and mortar store.
And so launching as a cold brew coffee brand and as a roasted coffee brand has really helped us survive.
And how cool is that, right? And joining me right now live is the coffee cowboy himself. This is Matt. He's the guy behind it all. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so, Matt, tell me a little bit about, where can people taste this amazing local coffee? Students can come into the program with skills they learned in either high school or maybe community college. From there, they can work towards their bachelor's degree and even get a certificate. Or they can work even further and even get a PhD. To make it easier to social distance, each player is allowed 2 spectators that can come and cheer them on from the stands. That used to be the rule, but under the new Stay Healthy resolution, COVID-19 guidelines for schools are much stricter. A green level means it's business as usual for the schools with in-person classes. A yellow level means there will be a stricter focus on COVID-19 precautions like social distancing. The school district describes the orange level as a hybrid. Half of the students will continue learning here in school. The other half would be learning here online at home. That would be determined by an A-day, B-day type schedule. Level red means students would be back to complete distance learning.
This is Idaho News 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Natasha Williams. A grand opening celebration quickly turned into a scary situation at Soldier Mountain Resort today, while Sun Valley Resort, meanwhile, officially opened their new expert terrain. As we await word from the FDA on the emergency use authorization of the Pfizer vaccine, the need is growing increasingly urgent. If you drive in any direction in Ada County, you will most certainly hit a construction zone. It's everywhere, right? COVID-19 has a lot of us itching to get outside, and many of us are flocking to the mountains. And like everything else this year, holiday gatherings, parties, and even fundraisers will look a little different. Into Thursday morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, the whole state covered. All of this white, all of this purple, all of that is snow. Portland getting soaked as well. The entire Pacific Northwest is really getting soaked from that system moving in. Take a look at this live view from the Grove Hotel. Current conditions right now actually decently clear compared to the smoke that we've been experiencing all day long. It's been so thick you could almost taste it, right? 68 degrees right now in Boise, 49% humidity, and there's a possibility that you could see some scattered showers throughout tonight and even into tomorrow morning.